How are you? Welcome once again to Nuts and Bolts Sports Draft Central. We are your hosts, Jeff Barnes and Bill Carroll. Bill, rocking the night, I see, rocking the blue.
So, two things. We're interviewing people at my job, so I'm interviewing people at my job, so I have to look decent. And then two, I'm trying to figure out what looks good on me. So let me know, people. If you hate it, I'll try something else.
Well, I like it. The nice is I'll consider that royal. It's a little dark to be electric blue for me, but it's a vibrant royal blue. I'm rocking. Yeah. I'm with it. All right, so we're going to talk some wide receivers tonight. We're also going to talk some cornerbacks. We have a special guest. We were going to originally have a wide receiver on tonight,
but we decided to upgrade. Cornerback.
Yeah, so we're going to pull a corner in instead. That's right. So he got intercepted. All right, so we'll talk about our special guest after we break down the wide receivers. He gets the whole segment to himself, so that's his attention time. So just hang tight for that. But with that being said, we're going to get the show started and start talking some wide receivers. All right, so customarily, I let you go first with your top five. Although your top five is expanded a bit, you got the little bit. You caught Trey Wingo-itis on me, and you expanded out to this almost top 10. But we're going to talk about these guys. So let's jump right into yours. I'm going to put your top five up and have at it.
I am racked with shame. Oh, these are the corners. Okay.
No. Wide receivers. There we go.
Oh, okay. Well. Okay, I am racked with shame because I couldn't pick five. I'll be honest. I like many people, I grade numerically, and I had so many people who were dead flat foot ties numerically. Everyone loves Jamar Chase, and there's a lot of things to like about Jamar Chase. I just think DeVonta Smith is literally a professional wide receiver now who just happened to be in college. I think you can see his coaching, you can see the refinement. He's deceptive. Despite being very slender, and everyone's sort of harping on that, he's stronger than you realize. And people have been, mentioning people like Marvin Harrison. I'm old, so I can even go back to guys like Harold Jackson. He is a guy who's going to play in the upper 170s, maybe even get to 183, 184 pounds. He'll be fine, people. Jamar Chase is more of a classic X-receiver body, and he's also fairly refined. Like I'm not saying he's raw, but I just think that there's a level of refinement in DeVonta Smith's game that is frankly rare to see. And Robert Woods is a guy that he's not as big, but it's sort of similar sort of receiver, but I think Smith is more sudden. Rashad Bateman can do a little bit of everything. I think he could be great in the slot. I mean, we talked about this with Justin Jefferson, right? And he was a guy that some people really liked and some people were less sold on. And I think was he the third receiver? He might have also been the third receiver drafted. I can't remember exactly, but somewhat similar guy in some ways. And then maybe the most dynamic of the bunch is Dyami Brown. I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up being the best of all of them I've named so far. He's a little more raw than the others, but my gosh, his potential, his ability, he needs more coaching, but man, if he goes to the right situation, the right coaches, he could be ludicrously great. I just love Dwayne Eskridge. I think he's basically Troy Brown, but faster. I mean, Troy Brown wasn't slow. He was a low 4.5s guy, but I think Eskridge might legitimately be low 4.4s, maybe even high 4.3s, but he's fast and quick. Elijah Moore is just a professional, the other receiver. And there's nothing wrong with being the other receiver. I think he's going to be a great number 2 receiver for a long, long time. And then the 2 speed guys. And I know most people would have And of course, the spelling should be different between the two, but whatever. Jaylen, Jaylen, Waddle. Most people have him higher on the board. I like his upside, but there's so many receivers who are more ready to me to be guys who really contribute at the next level. Like Jaylen Waddle is going to be a guy that, you use as to clear things out and will occasionally catch a big touchdown pass and things like that. But he doesn't have a tremendous amount of route deception. He's fairly well coached. I mean, once again, like Smith from Alabama, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's a project. I'm just saying there's things he doesn't do as well as the other guys. And then Jalen Darden is very similar, but I think despite the fact he may be maybe not quite as fast as Jalen Waddle, he's close, and I've seen him do more things. I think he has a little better sense of how to work certain areas of the field than Waddle does, who is, to me, mostly just a pure deep threat. And both of them are guys that, you can just throw now screens to them, and, if they make someone miss, an 8-yard pass that's parallel to the line of scrimmage, suddenly becomes an 80-yard touchdown. So they're both super exciting speed guys. And I could go on. There's a bunch of more receivers that I couldn't get to because, I already am ashamed of myself for having wedged this number of receivers into what's supposed to be a top 5. But yeah, Jeff, tell me what you think, and then give me your guys.
All right. So I'm very intrigued by your list here. I think when you look at the top 2, they're interchangeable at 1. Grading wise, depending on how you grade them. You'll see my top 5 in a minute. My question is going to be: I'm shocked that Moore is higher than Waddle to me. I mean, granted, there's a lot of upside to him. I just don't think when you look at the kid, I think Jalen Waddle took a hit this year, mostly because of the injury. The fact that he wasn't on the field, you didn't get to see Jalen Waddle be the man everybody expected him to be this year. But if you've seen the player when he's at his best,
and I did,
I
loved him too. This is not a knock on him. This is noticing there are guys who are a little more complete, more well-rounded.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna. By the way, tonight you're gonna enjoy tonight's show tonight because we're gonna have. Tonight, you're seeing how long Bill's lists are compared to mine. So you're going to have those draft meeting debates tonight, okay? Because there are going to be some guys we're going to get into our top 5s. We're going to go, well, why did you put this guy here? And we're going to dig into why. There's not going to be okay. We're going to talk about him. We're going to like him, and we're going to move on. No, we're going to for the first 20 minutes of this show, you're going to hear. Yeah. So right, you've seen Bill's. So I'm going to throw mine up, and we'll get the ticker going eventually. I'm trying to fix it before we post it up there. All right, so here's my top 5. All right, so I have Chase number 1, not by a lot. They're very close and great.
Yeah.
Devontae Smith. I mean, the names, you've heard them enough. You've heard everybody talk about enough. There's nothing I'm going to tell you right now about those 2 players that you haven't heard before. Why do I have Jalen Waddle 3? And yes, I did misspell his name, but we'll fix that. Okay, so I'm going to tell you why. All right. Like I said, I think the injury did rob him this year. I think that's kind of hurt his evaluation in the process. Agreed. But when you look at the player, how effective he's outside, how effective he is inside, I think he still has a lot more room to grow as a route runner. I still think, but when you talk about he's a dangerous player vertically, intermediate, and underneath, with the football in his hands as a blocker, he has the ability to be that complete wide receiver. So when you talk about that, the top 3 guys to me are going to be my most complete wide receivers. Now, Kadarius Toney, I think he could be one of your most dangerous slot receivers in this class. Can you work him outside a little? Yes, I think bigger corners will beat him up on the outside, but working him in the slot, he's going to be one of the most dangerous slot receivers where I think he's going to be almost uncoverable if he gets to his best in the slot. Okay, now Bateman is one of those guys I like. I mean, he has the size, he has the hands, he has the ability. I don't see the full route tree I would like to see from him. And what I'm seeing from him is that guy who has the ability to out athlete you on every throw. I want to see more of the route tree before I push him up my list. That's one of the knocks on him in my draft grade was when I look at his ability to run the full route tree, I don't see that guy that's going to give you he reminds me of a lot of Des Bryant. That guy who's going to out-athlete you. He's going to give you a quality route tree, but he's going to out-athlete you on most throws, and the teams are going to rely on that. When you're watching Minnesota's offense, they schemed him open a lot more than he got open on his own.
So don't you have that same concern about Kadarius Toney, who I once joked was the Cordell Patterson of Percy Harvins?
Yeah, I think he's shiftier. I think he's shifty enough to be in the slot.
Right, he's shifty, but doesn't run a lot of patterns. I mean, I don't doubt his shiftiness. He's incredible. He could dodge you in a shower stall. I don't doubt that.
When I look at his change of direction, with the right offense, the right coaching, he was used as exactly how he was needed to be used at Florida.
Right, the Cordell Patterson of Percy Harvin.
So when he gets to the pros, guess what? You're going to have to be more like Beasley. You're going to have to be more like Emmanuel Sanders. You're going to have to be more like those guys who learned how to have that diverse route tree. And he has the ability to get vertical too. So so that's where it adds on to that. So he can be a threat vertically because there's some slot receivers they will never ever get open vertically, but you shake him up underneath, he's going to get open and catch and run all day. So I think Toney has that ability to threaten you with all that stuff underneath. He's not as explosive as Hollywood Brown. But overall, he's a guy who can beat that slot corner over the top. He can beat that safety over the top. He can hit you with that post corner and pull away from the safety in space. I think he's one of those guys. Why he pushed up to 4 on my list. It's rare that you get a slot receiver only that pushes that high on the list. Can't you put him at the Z? Yes. But you run him out to the Z, guess what? At some point, somebody's going to get hands on him. And that's what I don't want. I want him inside where, guess what? He has a two-way go. And he's equally deadly going both ways.
Oh, I like Toney, but gun to my head, if I tried to shove yet another receiver into my rankings, which I really finally had to stop doing, Tylan Wallace to me is the guy that's a little closer to being ready to produce right away, even over Kadarius Toney, who I like. This is not me disliking him. He's in my top 10, so I like him. I mean, I could have, it's one of those years we could have like 18 receivers in your top 10 because there's so many good wide receivers. As I said, when I graded 18 of the receivers that I graded as guys who I believe would contribute in the NFL, even if they aren't full-time starters. 18 of them I feel confident will contribute.
Okay, so let's talk about a couple of guys that probably missed our top 5s who might just be on the edge of our top 10s. What about Terrence Marshall? Of
course. I mean, once again, I think he's a wide receiver 3 at the next level, but I think he'll be a good one. He's sort of like a poor man's. I mean, there's a long list of people he's like a poor man's version of. But I mean, Alshon Jeffrey, like that guy, that body up receiver, that classic, jump ball body up, and with a little more zuzu, a little more quickness than people give him credit for having. So he's not just a possession guy. He's a guy who can beat you a little bit over the top. He's a little faster, I think, than people think. I just mentioned my love for Tylan Wallace. It killed me of yet another receiver into my top 5, but he's going to be a really good sort of Emmanuel Sanders type player at the next level, I believe. Simi Fehoko, right? If you like jump ball receivers, let's throw them all out there too. He's going to do well. Warren Jackson, speaking of jump ball, maybe the ultimate jump ball guy in this class. Colorado State's Warren Jackson is a big giant freak of a receiver. There's so many receivers. How many do you want?
Well, we got plenty more. I mean, we talked about Marshall. Let's talk about Rondale Moore, Purdue.
Oh. See, once again, I sort of classify him something a little different. So he's where I said that someone was a Cordell Patterson of the Percy Harvins. So he's more of the Devin Hester of the Percy Harvins. Like he's almost a guy you can use like Darren Sproles. I mean, he can line up in the backfield. He can line up in the slot. You can line him up out wide even. I could see him having almost a Danny Woodhead kind of career. He's incredibly powerful for his size. Well, I wouldn't run him between the tackles 15, 20 times a game. If you think you can't hand him a couple of draws and get a couple of wow plays out of that, he's going to take at some point in a situation where it's 3rd and long, and he motions back into the backfield and gets that little touch pass thing, boom, If he catches an edge, that might be it, baby. Forget 3rd and 7. It's 3rd and 70. He's gone.
Absolutely. Listen, you talked about De'Ami Brown.
Love him.
The guy on the opposite side really impressed me. Daz Newsome.
Terrific, yes.
So here's another guy.
He's not quite the freakish athlete, but he's a really good.
No. He's a really good football player, really good wide receiver, and he's one of those guys. I think that
he's in my top 15.
Yeah,
I mean, I really like Daz Newsome. I think he's number 14, but I really love. I mean, there's so many good receivers.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. If he doesn't get the value he deserves, he's going to be a steal for somebody.
Yep.
Speaking of steals. Let's talk about some guys that they aren't talking about. Okay, how about Amon-Ra St. Brown?
Well, I think a fair number of people are plugging him because he went to USC, and he has once again the sort of the part of the Equanimous, and there's another one. I can't remember who the last of them, but there's another one out there too. But all the St. Browns, obviously,
at Stanford.
Yes, everyone knows about the St. Browns. They're all interesting players. And once again, he's getting a lot of Robert Woods comparisons, partially because of USC. Admani Toomer is a guy that I kind of saw when I watched him play. He's going to be a very good professional receiver. He really understands where the soft spots are in the zone. He has really good hands. He can track the ball. Testing is going to be big for him. If he runs 4.52, he'll go in the 3rd-ish. If he runs 4.62, he's going in the late 4th, 5th. If he runs 4.42, he won't get to the 1st because there's so many other receivers, but he'll find a home somewhere in the 2nd. Like, it all comes down to what he runs, unfortunately. Or fortunately, you may see it.
Well, one guy I like a lot, I got the chance to see him in 2 different All-Star games, is a guy that's not getting talked about a lot. He may get talked about a lot on draft Twitter. Myron Mitchell. UAB. One guy,
the other receiver, right? Because obviously Watkins gets all the talk, but yeah.
Speed for days. He torched every DB.
Yep.
When he was down here in Florida for Tropical Bowl.
Yep.
Every DB. It didn't matter who they put in front of him. He torched them. So you watch his film. He has that lightning in a bottle quickness. He gets vertical very quickly and he accelerates. So he's one of those guys. He tracks the ball very well. You can't say enough about a guy who, like him, who's honestly he's going to be a day 3 guy that I'm going to look forward to hearing his name called.
My question is special teams. What do you know about his special teams background? Because that's if he makes a roster, that's how he's going to do it.
Yeah. I'm still digging on that one because I haven't seen him play special teams on any film.
Well, he better.
He better learn.
I mean, I hate to put it this way, but if you're a wide receiver 5 or 4, even, you need to be a special teams contributor.
Yeah. So, I saw him, practice it at the All-Star game, but like I said, and when it counts in the real games where they're not stopping and letting you kick extra points and stuff like that, I want to see the live action stuff.
Right.
So anybody else you want to talk about? Because we're going to have to go to a commercial.
Well, I'll throw out
our guest come on.
I'll throw out my last one. We get to our guest next. So a person I was hoping actually to have, and some things fell through, but Michael Strahan is very Vincent Jackson-esque. He is a sprinter. But despite being a sprinter, he's almost 6'5". He's 224, 226, somewhere in that range. And like legitimate track speed. I will not be shocked if he runs in the low 4.4s despite being such a big-bodied receiver. He is a special prospect, and the NFL obviously, is appreciative of him because he got a combine invitation.
Well, listen, I've seen his film. He has a lot of the traits we like for a small school guy. So I'm really anxious to see what goes on with him. And I know he's got to run at some point. I want to see the times on him, see how well he times. I know we've heard all the stuff about him speed-wise. We've seen it on film. So I can't wait to see how he times. That's going to be an interesting thing.
I've seen his track times. So all he has to do is get a decent start, and his natural speed will take care of the rest.
Yeah. Well, I want to see the change of direction stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I want. Listen, I expect the 40 to be fast. I want to see the 3-cone and the shuttle. Those are the ones I want to see. I want to see how he bends the hips and his turns and stuff like that. Stuff that's going to make you getting out of those breaks fast.
Right.
So, speaking of getting in and out of a break, it is time for our first one.
Yes, sir.
With that being said, hang tight, everyone. We will be right back after this break. The Team Nuts and Bolts Sports Store is officially open. Log on to www.teamnbsmerch.com and get your t-shirts, hoodies, polos, all sizes available. Once again, log on to teamnbsmerch.com. Get yours today. All right, so we're back. Had our first break. We get a chance to bring on our special guest tonight. And since we have a very special guest, it's Bill's going to bring him on tonight. So I'm going to let you talk him on tonight.
So I first caught a hold of him before he transferred in his days at Penn State, and he was in a great secondary there. Well coached, surrounded by a lot of good football players. And then he, with the changes in the rules, he's able to go to Texas Tech and immediately make an impact. He is a guy who I think could play in the slot. I think he can play outside. He is people use the term like willing tackler. Like, you shouldn't be a willing tackler. You should be an enthusiastic tackler. That's what I like, is he's not tackling because he has to. He's tackling because he gets to. And that makes my little heart do this. The weirdest thing I've seen out there is people doubting his speed. Oh, I think he's going to really open some eyes. People who think he's going to run 4.61 or whatever, nope. I don't know how to put it. He is fast, people. Excuse me. I think he's got basically I got excited. I think he's got basically everything you look for. And I think he can play essentially almost any place in the secondary, except maybe classic box safety and maybe even that. So he's smart, he's tough, and he's fast. What else do you want?
All right. With that being said, we're bringing in Zach McPherson. Welcome to the show, Zach.
What's going on? How y'all doing?
We're here talking to you, so we're in a good place.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Bill, you get the first question.
So obviously, and first of all, shout out to your parents. You got that very strong biblical name, Zechariah. That's a power name.
Oh.
I'm sure your parents, have you told us the story behind your name and how they decided to name you Zechariah?
Really, I really haven't asked them in depth, but I just know that, me and all my other siblings are named after names in the Bible. So, yeah.
Well, get on it. Ask them about how they came to that. But it is a name of power.
Yeah.
You had some twists and turns, obviously, in your football journey. So take me back to you're leaving high school. You've got a lot of offers. Tell me how you sorted through that process and how you decided for the first stop in your football journey, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. Really, it started off sorting out what sport I wanted to excel at, because I was a baseball player and football player coming up through high school. I attended Penn State my freshman year. I was originally supposed to be a two-sport guy.
Right.
And then it didn't really work out, so I just stuck with football. Football offers 100% scholarship, so that'll get the weight off my parents. But when it came down to choosing Penn State, it was just I felt like it was the best spot for me at the time. I was real close with the staff, Coach Franklin, Coach Huff, Coach Smith, everybody that recruited me. Coach Franklin known my family for over 15 years. He coached my older brother at University of Maryland.
Right.
And so I thought that was the best place to be. And at the time, my older brother, one of my older brothers, he was at Penn State too. So I just thought it was the best place for me.
Okay. And take me into that DB room when you first get there. There's some guys in that DB room when you get there. Walk me through that room. Who else is in that DB room when you go to your first meeting?
When I first got there, it was loaded. Jordan Smith, Christian Campbell, Grant Haley, Emmanuel Ware, John Reed, you name them. These guys are all in the league now. So it was definitely a lot of talent in that room, and I took full advantage of it, just being a sponge and learning from the best. They was definitely a talented room.
And I have just one or two, and I'll hand it over to Jeff. What are some of the main things, like biggest things you got from that experience that has helped you even to this day?
Probably some of the biggest things was just like knowing that you never really know as much as you really think you do. And I'll say that was just a sum of my time there. Just once I tapped in on how much I can learn and really learn the game of football, I really took that and ran with it. And I never looked back since, and it really helped me excel in my game in all aspects.
Okay. And before I hand you off to Jeff, one last one. So there's a lot of speculation for some reason about your speed. You look fast to me, and I've heard you've run some good times. What are the actual factuals? What's your actual height and weight, and what time do you think you will actually run?
Yeah, so I'm 5'11", 196, but I'm gonna keep the time and stuff. I'm gonna keep it confidential. I'm gonna turn them heads when that pro day comes. Them speculations and all that stuff. That's definitely motivating. But I can tell you, it's not nowhere near that.
Oh, I know.
I'm
not blind. I've seen you move. So yes,
yeah.
We will all. Please, when you get numbers, obviously we'd love to have them. So we will put those in your profile. But yes, I do believe you will turn some heads.
Yeah, I mess around and post a video after pro day or something about it.
Okay, right. Mr. Barnes, fire when ready.
All right, so you had the experience of being in the Big Ten first, then you jumped down to Texas Tech there in the Big 12. Tell me if you noticed any difference in the style of play or competition that you faced.
Yeah, definitely. The Big 12 is a totally different league. It's kind of crazy, but and the Big Ten is definitely, it's not as pass heavy. I mean, they pass the ball. It definitely got some good receiver, talented offenses in the Big Ten. But the Big 12 is a totally different ball game, and it's to the point where you have to run a certain style of defense, or you're just going to get exploited. So coming to the Big 12 is just totally different. Being a corner, it kind of plays in your favor. That's what you want. You want to be somewhere where the ball is going to be in the air a lot. That allows you to make plays. So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, you being that you're Big 12, you got to play, schools like TCU. You got to play the Oklahomas, the Oklahoma States, the Texases. So you've seen guys who were basically in this draft class with you. All these guys are considered pro-style quarterbacks who are pro-caliber as far as talent-wise. Right. Do you feel that made you even better to this point where you're going into the NFL ready to take on the arms that you're going to see at the next level?
Yeah, definitely. It definitely, it helped me become more well-rounded. Just knowing that I'm going against, some of the best in the nation, quarterbacks, receivers, and, we all enter into this draft together. So it definitely got me ready and prepared me for the next level in all aspects.
All right. So tell me, which coverages do you feel most comfortable in? I know as a DB, when I was a corner, I felt comfortable. I thought I could play anything, but I knew I was most comfortable when I got to play in cover 3. I was never comfortable in cover 2 because the safety always blew it behind me, and I was always the guy running in and looking like I got burnt. So,
right,
tell me what.
No safety slander will be allowed, sir. No.
Listen, the one time I ended up on ESPN was a documentary about the FDNY. We played them the year after 9/11 when they rebuilt their football team. And you see me running in, and only touchdown is being scored. And you see me running into the frame going like this because the safety blew the cover 2. All right, so that's the one time I make ESPN, I get burnt. Well, technically I didn't, but nevertheless, it looks like I got burnt. So, but you tell this ain't about me; it's about you. So you tell me what coverages you like best.
Shoot, I mean, our coach, we call the cover 3s and cover 2 the corner relief package. And this league, like I said earlier, you get a lot of pass. So, I mean, the cover 3 and cover 2, that's just the corner relief, to take a little weight off us, and help you play with your eyes more. It's more of a vision coverage. But, I mean, I like man. That's where I really like man. I mean, especially from the slot, it just puts you closer towards the ball and the receiver and allow you to make a lot of plays. But I'm not going to sit and say I have a favorite. I like them all, and I'm pretty flexible in whichever the coach calls,
Absolutely. So speaking of the slot, if you're asked to be in there, you're going to ask to be very physical. Do you feel you had the physicality of it, that you're going to have to come up and be an outside defender versus run? You're going to have to be a blitzer on occasion in certain packages. And then, of course, you're going to have to match up against some of the bigger bodies. You're not always going to get that slot receiver. You're going to get sometimes you're going to get matched up with that Travis Kelce style of tight end. So how do you feel about playing in the slot against that kind of competition?
I definitely love playing in the slot. It's definitely a challenge, and it's motivating at the same time. But like you said, you sometimes in the slot you got to put your big boy pants on it, and get ready to like you said, guard the big tight ends, come off the edge, or be a run defender. And I feel like I really showed that I can do all that these past 2 years at Texas Tech.
Perfect. I'm going to throw you back to Bill. You got a couple more questions for me.
I'm going to make it very, very quick. So you've played against a lot of good passing combinations. So which quarterback that you've ever played against threw a ball that got on you a little faster? You obviously see them on tape, but the ball got there. Yeah. Tape didn't quite do it justice, right? This guy's got a little more on it than you thought. Who are the quarterbacks that come to mind when you think about the guys who had the livest arms?
That's a really good question. I say Jalen Hurts. That kid can throw the football. He's a real talented quarterback, and his ball definitely gets up on you quick, faster than most people think. And I'll definitely say Jalen my past 2 years at Tech.
Okay. And this would be in a game, this would be practice, whatever. But which receivers have you faced? You really earned your scholarship when you went against them. Like, which guys made you feel like, okay, I've been tested. I got better today because this, I was playing against basically a pro receiver today. Who are the guys that come to your mind when you think about the toughest receivers?
I'd definitely say I'm gonna go for practice. I'm gonna give a little shout out to Eric Ezukam and TJ Vasher. They some real talented receivers. They both got two unique talents. They both gonna be real successful at the next level. Guarding TJ, he's a bigger body. He's like an acrobat, 6'6" acrobat. Right. Eric Ezukam, he's a big body receiver, and going against him in practice every day, those are gonna be next level guys. So I took advantage of every rep. All three of us competed every day.
And my last question, I'm gonna give you your life back. If I'm talking to an NFL scout, and occasionally I do, and I'm trying to sell them on Zech McPherson, what play or is there a particular game I should show that would make them say, oh, yeah, okay, I see what you're talking about? What play do you think, or what game, if it's a whole game, do you think best shows who you are as a player?
That's a really good question. I'll probably say the Baylor game. You turn on the Baylor game. The defense needed a stop. It's third down. If Baylor gets this conversion, they win the game. So I say that last play on defense, I got a PBU from the slot, and I was able to get the ball back in the offense hand. That just shows the versatility. I was in the outside to play before. I had to bump inside, and I was able to make a play on that ball.
And that's why Zech McPherson is going to be in the NFL successfully for years. He can play all the positions. I'm convinced you could play a little free safety if you had to.
Oh, most definitely. I had a few snaps at it this year. I definitely like being back there. So. Yes, sir.
That's my guy right there. He can do it all.
Yes, sir.
So, tell me about your biggest obstacle on the field. You've played this game long enough now where you've faced adversity, whether it's you couldn't beat out somebody to get into the lineup, whether it was at some point you just doubted yourself with something. Tell me what your biggest obstacle was in your playing career so far.
My biggest, I would definitely probably say when I was back at Penn State, it's not that I doubted my talent or doubted what I can do, but I would definitely say just, trying to find my way to and find my niche on that defense to, get a lot of fan time. And that was my biggest obstacle. I had to really dig down deep inside, look at myself in the mirror and, really evaluate myself and, see what I was doing and what I could do better. And overcoming that obstacle and understanding, that just some things just don't work out the way that you think they will. And that's okay, because in life, things gonna be like that. So, that's just the epitome of who I was, and And I took it into my own control by, graduating early and, being able to get to a school where I'll be able to play and put a lot of film on. And it worked out well for me.
So I also like to ask the opposite spectrum. Tell me your greatest accomplishment on a football field. Everybody sees a ring and they go, "That's your greatest accomplishment." Depends on which one, right? But there's always that one shining moment. So we've done the worst. Tell me your most proud accomplishment on a football field.
My most proud, I'll definitely say, probably this past year, just being able to be on, first team All Big 12. It's something I worked my whole life for, and I put in a lot of hard time into this game, and I know it's not really a tangible thing, but just to be able to be on that list with the rest of those guys, and it just shows the hard work that we put in. So I'll definitely probably say being able to be on first team All Big 12.
Okay, all right. So last one, and this one's a softball question. Everybody hits this one out the park, right?
Mm-hmm.
My former baseball player. Yeah, there we
go. You're waiting on the call. You're watching the rounds of the draft. Are you doing this at home? You're doing this with just mom and dad? You bring in the whole family?
Mm-hmm.
What is your draft event gonna look like?
Well, to be honest, this isn't the first draft in my family, so they're kind of used to it in a sense. But
family full of ballers, right?
Yeah, this year with COVID going on and everything like that, it's just gonna be my immediate family. It's gonna be a relaxed day. Hopefully my name get called and popped in, and one of these rounds, either or, I'll be thankful for it all. And ultimately, it's just gonna be a good family get together. Everybody hasn't seen each other in a while, so yeah.
All right. Well, we're definitely pulling for you. Listen, you're a heck of a ball player. Enjoy every minute of this. Like you said, you've been through this before. You've had family go through this, so I don't have to lecture you on that part. But definitely enjoy it, man. We're going to be pulling for you. We're going to be covering the draft from start to finish here on Nuts and Bolts Sports. So if you get called, we may want to get you on here to talk about it. We want to see the excitement with you guys. Well, of course, after the team gets you, we don't take precedence over the team that drafted you. So by all means, you're definitely a friend of the show. We got to get you back on. Your happy moment.
Yeah. You guys got my word. I'll definitely be back on.
Sure. All right.
Excellent. Well, thank you.
Thanks for coming on, Zach. We greatly appreciate it. And listen, we look forward to this process and hearing your name called and seeing you out there on Sundays, man. You're a heck of a ball player.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And with that being said, we got one more commercial break. So we will be back after the break, everybody. And we are back. Once again, I'd like to thank Zach McPherson for coming on. Last minute, unfortunately, we had a last minute cancellation, so we didn't get a chance to have our wide receiver on tonight. So,
but we upgraded. We upgraded the quarter.
That's right.
Because they managed to compete with the best athletes on the field running while they're running backwards.
Yes. Absolutely. Listen, I will never shun a cornerback as a former cornerback. Listen, what can I say? My heart is in a position that I played. All right. Well, it's time to talk cornerbacks. So let's get with the graphic. All right, so I let you kick the show off with your top 10 wide receivers. It was supposed to be top 5. It was top 10. And guess what? His list is even longer for cornerbacks, folks. So, and the debate is going to be even more intense. So I'm going to kick mine off because mine is a lot shorter. So we're going to start it off with mine. All right, so coming out the gate, Patrick Surtain Jr. Surtain. I always say Surtain. It just seems grammatically correct to me. But nevertheless, listen, we're talking about Patrick Surtain II. His father, if you know, had a nice long career with Miami. Right, this young man, when you talk about it, this cornerback class features a lot of different looks. You talk about big corners, smaller corners, more athletic. Some guys are more man, some guys are more zone. He's a guy that fits in all of those categories. Right. Okay, not the elite burner vertically, but when you look at his game, he uses his size well. He's a smart player who keeps those eyes in the right places. He doesn't bite on those double moves like a lot of corners do that we're going to talk about. He's one of those guys that's physical, not only in coverage, but in the run game. All right. So he's one of those guys when you talk about well-rounded, here is that number one spot for me. Caleb Farley. Here's a guy we talked about aggressive. We talk about athletic. He has all of that. Sometimes his aggressiveness gets in his way because he'll get caught on that double move. Yeah. But he's one of those guys you want that that Jair Alexander type corner. It was going to give you that athleticism, that aggression. Yep. Caleb Farley is your man.
Yep.
Greg Newsome.
I love Greg.
All right. There's another guy we talked about, right, who has all of those traits. And now he has the speed, he has the size, right? He does come up and he hits, but he is not as physical as the top two. All right. Moving on to JC Horn. Same thing. Okay. Here's another guy who brings that aggressive mentality. He has that ability to play inside, outside. What can you ask for in a corner? Okay, now here's where we get to my position-specific corners, because when you talk about the grades of the guys below those 4, there's a fall-off, okay, at 5 to me. Okay, Asante Samuel grades out as my 5th grade corner right now. And once again, this is before all the numbers come out, where we get to look at the 40 times, and if we don't like it, we go back to the film and see what we missed. So, right. Asante Samuel Jr., yes, that Asante Samuel's son. All right. Out of Florida State. We got
JC Horn. So we've got a bunch of people with
yes, Joe Horn's son. Yes.
In the NFL. Surtain, Horn, Samuel. I mean,
woo. Yeah, there's a long list of them. So when you talk about Asante Samuel, for me, he's going to be a slot player. Outside, he's more of a zone corner. He's a guy I don't trust as much in man from what I've seen on the film. When he's in zone, he's a pick magnet. I'm sorry. He just finds the football in zone.
That's just genetics.
But so we're going to take this graphic down so we can, debate that a little. I'll let you tell me what you think.
I think you line up with most people. I think you're pretty close to most people in those rankings. I'm excited tonight because we're talking football. but I think, and of course, it's a position that you know a great deal about. So I'm never going to take shots because you clearly understand what it takes to be a corner. My only concern is JC Horn, and you mentioned aggressiveness to a fault. He is that aggressive to a fault.
Yeah.
He's going to get some flags. I'm afraid. Yeah. He's going to get 1 or 2 of those at a crucial junction and cost you a game. Yeah. I'm really convinced that 1 or 2 times a season, you're going to be at the crucial juncture. You will have gotten what you thought was a stop, and then there's going to be a flag of the play, on that third date where you stop them, and then now it's like, nope, first down. He really is handsy and mouthy.
Yeah.
Simultaneously at a high level. And I said Cortland Finnegan, right? He's got a little Cortland Finnegan.
Yeah, the Mountie may come in to help him out because he'll take some receivers out of their games.
Sure.
The handsy's going to get him in trouble, and that's what with a lot of college DBs. A lot of these guys are handsy coming out of college. They let you play a little more than at the NFL level,
Right?
but you see the athletic skills. You see there's some technique. There's some technical issues there about staying in phase, which is why he gets a very handsy. But he'll get better at that. And they'll teach him a little hook move that they cheat with corners nowadays. When you hook the arm underneath the guy running, and it doesn't. They don't call hold for that.
Right.
And there's little,
Yeah.
there's plenty of cornerback coaches out there that are teaching that stuff. Well, I know my cornerback coach taught me a lot of dirty tricks when I played. So
Sure.
but when you see the athleticism there, the instinct is there. You don't have an instinctive corner. You have an average corner because he's going to wait till he sees everything and then slowly react. You can't have slow reactors. These guys are quick. Sometimes they're too quick because they guess. Okay.
Yes.
So they'll get smarter. They'll get better at the next level because they have no choice. Those guys are better. They have to step up their game. Otherwise, they don't last. Milner, D. Milner. Anyway, so unfortunately, that's what happens. So I'm not going to take up this whole time because I got my 5 in. Your 5's a lot longer, so we're gonna.
It's always
we're gonna argue about yours.
I can't have ties. He said, "I can't have ties," and I was like, "Oh, you should have never told me that." Mistake, Jeff. You should have made me stick to 5.
I think you're being very generous on your top 5. So here we go, Phil. Here we go, Bill. Okay.
Well, okay. First of all, I'm not going to apologize for my love for Greg Newsome. I think he has a chance to be an absolute star. As you said, he may guess a little bit. Like, I'm not going to dispute that. He is a guesser, but he guesses right a lot. So he'll have to refine that. But he's got all the things you look for. He's strong, fast, great ball skills, natural playmaking ability. Caleb Farley, a little rough around the edges, but so much talent. If he gets coached, as you said, if he gets the right coaching, he could end up being an absolute. We're talking like a Patrick Peterson type almost if he ends up really getting coached well. Patrick Surtain he's the most pro-ready of all of them. He's just ready. I mean, he's basically been playing in the NFL practically. I mean, his father coached him in high school. He's been coached by the best defensive backs coaches maybe the world has ever seen in his time in Alabama. So, yeah, he's ready to rock. I already sort of told you the things I like and dislike about J.C. Horn. He's going to talk his way into some successful things and talk his way out of some things. He's going to hands his way into some good plays and then handsy his way into some bad plays. I like Marco Wilson more than everyone on the planet, and I don't plan to apologize for it.
I like him.
I think right. I think he's going to be a really, really good football player. It may take him a while. Like I said, my one little caveat is I won't be surprised if he's not a full-time starter at all in his rookie season. It might take him until 6 games into his second year in the league. Asante Samuel Jr., ditto. All the things you said, I just co-signed them. Now, here's someone I love. And if I've been held to 5, I would have found a way to shove him in there, is Shamar Jean-Charles. First of all, you talked about feet and hips. Nobody on this list has better feet and hips than Shamar Jean-Charles. Nobody. I don't care. Pick any of those guys. None of them have better feet and hips than Shamar Jean-Charles. Fluid as all get out. It's like he's made out of mercury. He is so fluid, so smooth. Paulson Adebo is a guy that might actually end up being a safety, but super smart kid. The Stanford thing, but also not just that, a smart football player. Ball skills off the chain. Maybe the best ball skills, but certainly amongst the best ball skills in this class, if not the best. And I just think probably needs to play in zone. I get what you're saying about that, but he could be a Peanut Tillman type with better ball skills. How do you not love that? And then last but not least, Darren Hall. Once again, I know nobody loves Darren Hall the way I love Darren Hall. I don't care. Darren Hall is going to be an NFL defensive back for 8 to 10 years. Listen to me now and hear me later. Now, once again, he's not a freak athlete. In fact, he's probably a slightly below average athlete for the position. Not even disputing that. But he will find a way, like Desmond King and lots of other guys who are similar to him, to overcome that. Mark my words. Now, I have a separate bunch of nickel rankings, so including our man Zach, who is in the top 5 of my nickel rankings. We won't do that now.
No, we still got 10 minutes left in the show.
Oh, okay.
So we got to dig into this.
Let's do it.
Okay, so all right. So I like Wilson. Don't get me wrong. I like Wilson a lot. All right, so I'm not gonna even. All right, but I'm gonna jump right down to one glaring name on this list.
Okay.
When I saw this one, my eyes literally did the cartoon jump out of my head.
All right,
and you're right, Paulson Adebo. Okay, so
he's a zone corner only. I get it.
I was literally taken back by that because I'm gonna tell you why. Okay, I got the chance. The beauty of having an American Conference school that wants to play big schools in the backyard here, that I get to go on campus and watch from the press box, and rub elbows with the pro scouts, and then they walk away. I got to see Stanford last year. Of course, COVID kind of robbed us of seeing them again this year when they came to UCF. And Adebo was one of the guys I had on my list to watch. I said, I've been hearing so many great things about him the last couple of years. I said, I got to see Adebo when he comes down here. And I saw Adebo all right. And I saw the UCF corner receivers take turns on not just him, every Stanford corner. Adebo, and one of the biggest things I've seen, and granted his film in 2020 was better than 2019.
Yep.
Top end speed for him.
Yep.
Is a no-go.
He
he just doesn't have it. And you love the size, you love the instincts. He's a like you said, very smart player, but he can't stay in phase with fast receivers, and that's a problem at the NFL level. Everybody's fast at the NFL level. Yeah,
Peanut Tillman had the same problem. They figured out how to hide him.
Yeah, well, it's called cover 2.
Fixed.
So he was one of the ones I was like, Adebo. I said,
well, once again, you know what? I went back and watched tape I had of Peanut Tillman, right?
Yeah.
All the same problems you just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
A game against Louisiana Tech, he gave up like 4 30-plus yard receptions because that's not what Peanut Tillman's good at.
No.
He's not good, right? So you have to have the right scheme. He is a scheme-dependent corner. But I'm telling you, you park him in a zone-heavy scheme, he's going to end up at some point leading the league in interceptions.
Yeah, I saw that one. I said, I can think of a bunch of other guys I like better than Paulson. I got some guys that are graded way higher, though. I was shocked at that one, though. All right, so let's talk about your nickels, and we'll come back to this. We'll circle back to some of these guys. All right, let's get on your nickels.
Sure. Well, Zach would be my number 5. I think he's going to probably end up because he could do it. He could do whatever, but I think that's what position he's going to actually play in the NFL. I think he's going to be a nickel, and I think he's going to be a really good one because he has everything in his game, and maybe not everything at an elite level, but he has everything at a solid level. His jam is accurate and strong. Feet and hips, maybe not elite, maybe not Shamar John Charles and guys like that, but well above average. Deep speed, I don't know why people doubt it. I'm telling you he's going to run well. He's got above average. He's got above average at everything. But it's the intellect and the toughness is going to let him thrive in the slot. He's got that. Everyone's sort of talking about Avery Williamson as a return man. And he's a terrific return specialist, but I think he can play nickel in the NFL. I don't know why people are sort of dismissing him as a defensive back entirely. Like, no, he's a return specialist. Well, I mean, yes, but if you think he can't play, I mean, I've watched him play defensive back, and I didn't find myself thinking, that guy's awful. No, that guy's pretty good. Like, why is no one talking about the fact he's a pretty darn good nickel? Like, that's solid nickel play. I mean, he could be a solid nickel player in my world, right? In my little teeny tiny opinion. I really think he's going to carve out. Going back to San Diego State University, Tariq Thompson was a safety in college, and he could still play safety, but he's defended slots and done it. I mean, like for a guy that's a safety by trade, and I remember correctly, he went to the Senior Bowl and they put him in one-on-one drills, and he looked better than some of the corners.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, so if he can't play nickel for you, then maybe you're coaching the position incorrectly. I don't know what else to say about that. Mm-hmm. So I think that he may play a little bit of both in the NFL. I think he might play some safety, but I think he's going to play a lot over the slot. Speaking of UCF has a guy who I think is an outside corner, but you know what I'm talking about, right? I think his future's in the slot. Do you agree with me? Do you think his future's in the slot?
Which one are we talking about?
Oh, well, I was. Plot twist. Well, I was thinking Robinson, but who are you thinking?
Listen, if you remember, they were supposed to have 2 corners. One opted out. I'm talking about Tay Gowan.
Both of them, actually.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
right. I think both of them could actually play a lot. You're right, though. Good point.
A pair of corners out of UCF.
So they both end up slots.
Yeah. You know, so I was gonna mention those guys. I would say, we have we have a couple of teams that have a pair of corners in this draft. We were talking about UCF's, it was Gowan and Robinson, right? What about Georgia, Campbell and Stokes?
Right. Now I think Stokes is going to be an outside player. And you'll have to help me with this, Jeff, because you're the corner specialist. I've watched Campbell a lot, and I can't get excited. I can't, as excited as someone said I am tonight. I can't get excited about Tyson Campbell. Help me with it.
No, Campbell, you're looking at a solid corner. Okay. So he's not going to be an All-Pro.
Okay.
All right, but he's going to be a guy that. I mean, with some guys, I don't have comparables for them because I look at them as individuals first, and if the comp rings in my head, then I. But when I look at Stokes, he's not going to be, or Campbell, excuse me. All right, Campbell is not going to be the guy that's going to get you 6 interceptions in the season. If he does, then he's overachieved. Okay, all right, but he's a guy when you want to bring that sub package in. And you want to move that guy into the slot that's really, really good, and you want to put somebody outside who can play with safety help, so he can be allowed to be physical underneath, that's where he fits.
Okay.
Because he's going to be a guy you don't want to leave him on the island alone. It's just not his thing.
Got it.
Okay? It's not his strength. You make his weakness very glaring. You want to do that to him. However, if he's a guy you sub packages and you're mixing up coverages and schemes, and you can play a little zone, then he becomes an effective player. But he's going to fit a role for a team. He's not going to be, if he's going to start, you better have a plan for him, because eventually he's going to end up against somebody he doesn't need to be matched up with for 60 minutes, and it's going to show.
Right.
So, he's a guy you have to. If you want to put him on the outside for 60 minutes, you'd be able to roll coverage his way and do certain things to protect him, because he has weaknesses that no matter what you do to him, you're going to have to cover up a scheme.
Gotcha. Agreed.
So it is what it is. So you can love the guy as much as you want, but our job is to look at him and see how he fits at the next level, regardless how much he may be somebody's pay. So we got 2 minutes. So let's talk about.
I'm going to throw 2 more names real quick of guys that I think will find their living in the slots. Elijah Molden is a guy, and I'm not saying he can't play outside, because I think he can, but I think he would thrive in the slot. And here's a guy that some people had as cornerback 1 on their boards coming into the season, who played his way out of that position, is Sean Wade.
Yes.
Right. But I think he can redeem himself by going back to playing in the slot and solidifying some things. I thought he would have been wise to maybe go back to school, but he's in the draft, and he, instead of going super early, he's going to go less early. But if used correctly, he could have a decent career.
He's giving me Tease Tabor vibes. He really is. I think he may have a better career than Tabor. I think, once again, you're talking about a guy who's going to be a solid role player. He was touted as being the next big Ohio State corner. Yep. And we just saw, once again, we talked about top end speed.
But not just that. Like I saw him sometimes get beat other ways. Like guys that couldn't run past him were beat. I mean, I'm sure he still wakes up screaming, thinking about Tyrese Fryfogle at University of Indiana. I mean, who's not a burner. You know, I mean, he was getting beat by some guys with quickness, some guys with, shiftiness, some guys with strength, some guys just jumped over his head. Like he got beat every kind of way you can get beat.
Well, I'll tell you what his biggest problem is, and it's not even the top end speed. Okay, he gets out of phase because he has we talk about linebackers with eyes. It's important for DBs too. It's
even more important because there's no one. The linebacker has people who can bail him out.
Yeah.
Very often, unless you have safety over the top. But sometimes there isn't a safety over the top. Yeah. Your eyes better be in the right place, or more importantly, not get stuck in the wrong place, which is what I saw happen to him a few times.
Well, plenty of times we've seen him in quarters coverage. He's playing off. He's angled in, so he's looking quarterback, receiver.
Right, the triangle.
And he's sitting there, and X takes off vertical. He's still in his side shuffle. He gets into that half trot.
I am not a fan of shuffle bail, Jeff, first of all, but okay, go ahead.
I spent half of my career in shuffle bail. It actually saved me a lot, because as I got smarter, I learned how to play shuffle bail. When you have kids that are not experienced at understanding how to read stuff, if they're just lock on, I need to backpedal and read, then let them backpedal and read. But anyway, we're getting off the topic.
Sure.
Sorry, because we're running out of time. If we were in the middle of the show, I would go into it. But all right. So yes. So he turns, gets into it. Lets the cushion decrease. Now he wants to turn and run. Bye. Okay. So he's got bad eyes, no top end speed to recover. So he's going to struggle with carrying receivers across the field. He's going to struggle when he has a guy who breaks down his cushion and goes vertical. He's going to have some issues, all right, with separation. All right. So he's going to have to be a guy. Once again, you talk about scheme. You got to be able to protect him with scheme.
Yep.
All right. So that is a wrap for us tonight.
That is.
Yeah, we got. Hopefully we whet your palate with the wide receiver and cornerback conversation. We know our guest definitely did that for you. Next week, we are back with our mock draft 2.0s to kick off the show. And we will have another special guest next week. We're not announcing who just yet, right? But we'll have another special guest next week. And we will be talking to close out the show, offensive tackles, the guys that save your quarterbacks. You pay them $40 million. Well, guess what? They better stay upright. Right? So, with that being said, thanks for watching. Bill Carroll, Jeff Barnes, both saying good night. Thanks for watching. Enjoy your weekend. The Team Nuts and Bolts Sports Store is officially open. Log on to www.teamnbsmerch.com and get your t-shirts, hoodies, polos, all sizes available. Once again, log on to teamnbsmerch.com. Get yours today.